Welcome to Season 2 of Path of the Brush. Let's sling some paint.
What? Oh, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Path of the Brush. I love that guitar riff that leads us in. It's so good. It is, Mark is the one, you played all the music for that, right, Mark?
I did, except for drums.
Except for drums? Did you hire someone in to do the drums?
Yeah, it was a robot.
Oh,
It was garage band drums, actually.
nice. Robots are also very cool. So hey, welcome to Path of the Brush. I'm Rick, your host. This is going to be a fun night. We don't have any guests, so Will and Mark will be jumping in, I hope. But we're going to be doing some Marvel Zombicide and doing the zombie heroes. So I'm not going to do all the heroes, but I have the Hulk here is going to be the one I'm going to start off with. And I'm doing these because, one, I need to do them. I don't want to play the game until I paint my miniatures. And two, CMON has their new Marvel or their new Zombicide game, Deceased, coming out on Kickstarter next week, right? And it's just like Marvel Zombicide or Marvel Zombicide, but it's the DC Universe, Batman, Superman, all those heroes in a very similar fashion. So I think it's pretty cool. Big shout out to Gen Con TV for allowing us to be here to do all this craziness that we do every week, and everybody that works behind the camera, like Mark and Will and Sarah and the other Mark. There's another Mark over there. All good folks, and of course Peter, who asked if we wanted to do this, and I was like, yes, of course. So, but welcome everyone. Let us get to it. I'm going to use some Army Painter Speed Paint. This is the plasmatic bolt for the Hulk. And we're going to see how that looks on here. If you are familiar with the Hulk, he doesn't always come across as green. Oh, this is kind of more bluish green. I may do this as a base and then come back with something else. But he isn't going to be quite the green that we would know him because he's a zombie now. So he's probably more gray, but there's Gray Hulk or Mr. Fix-It. And also there is Red Hulk, which is actually General Ross, who becomes the Red Hulk. At least, you know, that's what I think and know.
Rick, did you read the Marvel Zombies comics?
I did.
Can you give us the premise about that?
Sure.
What's the storyline?
So what I remember, because this is an old storyline, is that through the multiverse and traveling around and doing all that stuff, they come across a multiverse where all the heroes are zombies. Everybody's been bitten by this zombie plague, and then it leeches over, somehow gets into our universe and just starts wreaking havoc. And it's weird how some of the characters that you wouldn't think could be infected with zombie characteristics are. Like, I can't see the Hulk actually becoming a zombie, right? Because the Hulk is radiation, and radiation would kill, I feel like, the virus, right? And everything else he's immune to. So why would he not be immune to the virus here? And then also Deadpool. So Deadpool is another one of the miniatures and characters in the comics that becomes a zombie, and he heals from everything. So why would he become? I don't know. It's weird. But so, you know, then there becomes an underground of heroes that haven't been infected yet, but it's pretty tragic. You know, Peter, Spider-Man in the comics, does become a zombie and eats Aunt May. And it's like, when you think about, if you've like invested years of reading Spider-Man comics and you know that relationship and how like involved it is for like one of his first victims to be Aunt May as a zombie, oof, rough, heart-wrenching.
Friendly neighborhood zombie.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I was really excited when they announced that they were doing a Marvel Zombies Zombicide game, and I was curious as to how those mechanics were going to work. And what I like about it is you're playing the zombie versions of the characters, and you're going around and you're eating people, and it's like, and the Hulk, like when he gets hungry, he eats, and it's
Smashburger, a brain.
that's right, Human Smash Burger, brought to you by the Hulk, and it's so good. Um, but in the box, some of the other characters that you can. So I have all the zombie characters that come in the core box out. So the Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, the Wasp, Miss Marvel, and Deadpool, and Iron Man. Um, but there's also Thor, non-zombie Spider-Man. That these characters come out during the play, and then you can fight them as well, and it's super fun because as you are playing the game and you're doing your abilities or whatever, you start to become hungrier and hungrier, and eventually you can't do anything except eat and or consume, as they say in the game. I'm going to consume this Agent of Shield or this.
Compared to other zombie
Well, I think the biggest thing is in other zombicides you're playing survivors trying to avoid the zombies, whereas this one you take on the role of the zombie. And I think that's the biggest difference, and which makes it super fun. Because who doesn't want to, take on the role of zombie monster? I know I do. Eats Aunt May. That's dark. I know, right? Disciple of God. It is dark, and it's also like heart wrenching. Um, and then there's so many scenes where those, like, what would be in a movie considered a jump scare, right? Where you walk in and it's like, oh, hey Tony, Mr. Stark, can I help you with anything? And then they turn around, they're like all zombied out. Oh, and it's like, oh, that is absolutely horrible. But the artwork for that entire series was amazing. Um, and if you watched the What If animated series that was on Disney Plus, they do visit the zombie world, Marvel Zombies world, where um, what's her name, the red Scarlet Witch, there is super powerful as a zombie and scary.
I did enjoy them. The What If
Yeah.
I only watched the first two.
Mm. Oh, Captain, the Agent Carter becomes Captain Carter. Yeah.
The later episodes of that were
Good. I was particularly fond of like how they switched to kind of a Kirby-esque art style towards the end. That just made
Mhm.
my day. It was a visual treat every episode.
Disciple of God, I believe those comics could be found on Amazon as graphic novels. If you look up just Marvel Zombies, they did multiple versions of it. So you had the first iteration, and they did Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies 3, and I think that's where they kind of left off. But the first one is the best, so, and worth looking at. I mean, when it comes to taking a canon story arc or canon character line like the Marvel Universe and turn it into a whole zombie apocalypse, it was well done. And this was like at the height. It came out around the height of like The Walking Dead, so zombies were super popular, anyways. Yeah. So this prism plasmatic bolt, I think, is a little too light for what our Emerald Hulk would look like, but it's definitely showing off and popping out all the details of the sculpt, which I really like too. But I'm going to take a different, once this dries, I'm going to take a different green to it and apply it over this lighter green. And of course, as we all know, the Hulk's pants are purple. So I will be locating. There you go. It's on there for 20 bucks. That's a good buy to get the Marvel Zombies graphic, which compiles the entire story arc. That's good. Very cool. And then get it, read it, get super like emotional over Peter eating Aunt May. It's like, no. And what's funny is they're currently, CMON is currently in the delivering blocks of getting this Kickstarter fulfilled out to the community. So I have the core box, obviously, but I do not have my actual Kickstarter because I went full on this one. Got Galactus, which I already did get my Galactus, and but I haven't gotten my core box. I got the core box because I did some TikTok content for CMON around the Marvel Zombies stuff, and now I'm just waiting for my actual Kickstarter pledge to show up so I can see all the other, because there's over like 7,000 characters in the Marvel universe that could potentially be used in anything, and I can't even remember how many miniatures came with if you went all in on this Kickstarter. It was over 100, and I'm excited to see all the different versions that are available.
Yeah, CMON does a good job on their Kickstarters to fulfill those stretch goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
To bait you to get the next thing and the next thing. And it's a heck of a deal, really. I mean, if you bought it in the store. How do you feel of Kickstarter overall? I feel like it's changed the industry quite a bit.
Oh, I think Kickstarter is a great place for a lot of companies to test the waters as to like what the communities are gonna like gravitate towards too. And sometimes it's a cash grab if you get the right IP. So I don't recommend Kickstarter for every like self-publisher. I think a lot of people that are publishing games and doing it themselves and doing Kickstarter are not potentially using the industry to its fullest for themselves. Like, let's say I had a game that I wanted to get published. I wouldn't go to Kickstarter. I would go to a publisher and be like, here's my game. Here's the mechanics. Is this something that you would be able or be interested in publishing and doing a Kickstarter on it? And the reason I say that is me as an individual going to Kickstarter, I might get a certain amount of my circle of friends to back my project. You very rarely get your family members to support you in these endeavors, right? But you'll get a few family members that'll support you, but not your full. Everybody you would hope would support such an endeavor, and then you'll get the random folks that will back the Kickstarter out of interest or curiosity, right? Whereas a publisher who's had many successful Kickstarters and has an audience on the platform is a much better route. Am I going to lose potential, in getting a big payday? No, because you're not going to get it is an anomaly when it happens, and it's cool when it does, where someone has a huge successful Kickstarter self-publishing. But those are anomalies. It's like, becoming an NFL player. It's less than 1% of the population even makes it.
Yeah, I feel like it has to have a very strong marketing background and push, and you really got to pump some juice. And it's not if you build Field of Dream style. If you build it, they'll come, unless it's got it like you're saying, like a really cool IP, some good history. or you really got those dollars to really market it. You know, those ones that are on the Board Game Geeks of the world, and you'll see those banner ads all over. Like anywhere you go, you're getting really served up, and they're doing the programmatic ads, and a lot of big social media push. But yeah, it's definitely interesting
for sure. And I look at it like this too: is that if I could get a publisher that has a successful track record on Kickstarter with new games and stuff, I would take my residual payment over their numbers, over my full payment, over my own. Right. So.
Yeah. Then once you got one under your belt and the people know you as a game designer, you know, maybe that's something that you can expand on later, right? You already kind of got that runway. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a difficult platform to navigate for new folks, and even for some old folks doing it when veteran Kickstarters, because every Kickstarter is different. You never know which one's going to hit hard, and ones that are going to, you're going to be stressed to the end because you're not sure it's going to even fund, and it hits everybody except for CMON, it seems.
The all-stars. But yeah, that's scary too, because if you have that break-even point, and if you just hit it, you're just fulfilling and breaking even.
Yep. You're not going to have any potential for expansion or making extra copies to put into retail. It's tough, But what you do get is the experience.
It is the experience. So yeah, I was dabbling with the idea of some things before, and I started doing research of like manufacturing. Do you do it in the United States or Europe or China? And the freight, just to China, you are saving a lot of money. And there's obviously people that are doing it. So if you've done it, chime in for sure. But the freight alone, you're saving a lot of money by maybe going to, one of those overseas factories. But the freight alone almost makes it equal. So it's kind of a weird break even. And I've heard these horror stories on these Reddit threads and different things where their stuff just never came. It got locked up in customs, and it didn't make the actual date, and that was the make or break. So a lot of good research out there, a lot of good information out there, but it's fun to read that aspect of it.
Yeah, and a lot of things too is if you don't know, there's a lot you don't know, right? Like, did you get all the components of your game tested for lead or other things? When you say it's for ages X and up, right? There's, if you do ages 7 and up, there's certain things you have to have done testing of your product. If it's ages 13 and up, there might be a little less testing. 14 and up, a little less testing. But you don't know that unless you know it.
And you don't want a toxic game going out, right? The toxic Avengers of games.
And what's so funny is how they test it is they will take a copy of your game, they'll burn it, and then test the gas and the smoke coming off the game to see what the chemicals are emitted and at what levels. It's weird. Yeah.
From a little piece of a miniature, and then they spin it in some little centrifuge.
It's crazy. But and there's cost involved in that. And then you have your tariffs and your like you were saying, your shipping costs. There's so much that, again, if you don't take it into consideration, you are going to be paying even more than you raised on your Kickstarter in some instances. Again, that's why I am always of a mind, pitch your game to publishers that are already doing it all. And I've seen folks that have been like, I can't pitch it because it's not ready. Well, what do you mean it's not ready? Well, I don't have art and I don't have the right components. I was like, I tell them, it's like, if you don't have that, that's fine, because all these publishers have that.
Artists on hand, yeah.
Yeah. So they're stable. Let them use it, all the resources.
And at Gen Con, they've got a great, if you do have a game that you want to pitch, they got that great playtesting area, right? For the up and coming.
Yeah, the Unpub area.
Yeah, that was fun. My wife and I sat in there for a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, there's a really good Unpub here in Michigan. It's a Protospiel, which is basically an Unpub event where you can go and, if you're publishing a game or if you want to play unpublished games that might be coming to market, you go there and you do it, and they'll have you take little surveys usually after you play it. What did you like? What were things that were difficult to understand? All that stuff. It's neat. Hey, what's up, Max Daddy? Welcome. All right, I gotta find a good purple. I have royal blue, magic blue. That's not purple.
Oh, purple pants. How does the Incredible Hulk keep his pants on? Right?
They're stretchy.
There you go.
Yeah. So we got periwinkle purple, which I feel is the appropriate color for the Hulk's pants. It's periwinkle purple. And this is also speed paint. So big shout out to Army Painter for being our paint sponsor for the Path of the Brush series here. And all the folks over there in Denmark. All right.
So to talk about all those extra Marvel characters you did earlier,
Yeah.
made me wonder, like, what are your favorite like, B-list, lesser-known Marvel characters, like Cloak and Dagger or Moon Knight?
So Moon Knight,
Although he's a bit higher tier now.
he is absolutely higher tier now based on the show. Really elevated him. But I like Molecule Man. Super less known character. I like Lockjaw, the dog, part of the Inhumans. Let's see.
He had the tuning fork on his head, right?
He did. Yeah, just like how Black Bolt has a tuning fork on his head as well. And it's believed that Lockjaw was a person, an Inhuman who got hit with the Terrigen Mist. That's what he turned into, is this dog.
Okay.
Which is kind of like, dang.
I'm trying to remember the name of the Aboriginal guy from the X-Men who like opened up all those portals.
Oh, yes. I think his name was Portal.
I think so. It seemed like there was a way bigger story there than you ever really got.
Yeah.
to know.
That was with the, it wasn't so much the Mutant Massacre, but it was Fall of the Mutants, I think is where he came into the story play. Right?
Yeah, it was definitely like Chris Claremont era.
Yeah.
Well, that's at least when I read them, but he
Okay.
may have showed up before that.
And so another character that I really like is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And not because I read the comics. I've read like maybe 2 or 3, but they did their Disney Plus animated series, and it was amazing. So that's another character I really like. But my favorite character is Namor, a Submariner. And number 2 is Squirrel Girl, the unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
I'm like very vanilla ice cream on this one. If they weren't coming out with a lot of the, the unknowns, like a lot of people in the mainstream wouldn't know about it.
Yeah. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy
Was very unknown.
Very unknown. Very C-list.
And totally different, right? It wasn't as slapsticky.
Right. Yeah. I think the way that they were represented in the cinematic universe really helped them in the comics, though, because they needed to be a little more slapsticky.
Yeah.
Right?
How are they going to stand out?
Yeah.
There's so many teams that are the same, and they take themselves very seriously, right?
Yeah. But what I like about Squirrel Girl is not just the slapstick of her character, but also the fact that she's a member of the Great Lakes Avengers. And obviously, we're Michigan, the Great Lakes state.
Yeah,
So,
beautiful.
Yeah.
That also means she would have a fondness for maple syrup, which
Just like me.
yeah, that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah. Agreed.
I feel a cosplay coming on for you.
Right? No. Though whenever I see someone dressed up like Squirrel Girl in a cosplay, I want to get my picture with them because it's just super cool.
The one thing I love about Squirrel Girl is that her powers were explained to me as she's just a Silver Age superhero, so she always wins.
Yeah.
That's her mutant powers. She's just Silver Age, and nobody else caught up.
Well, the other thing that's cool about her in that, they call her the unbeatable Squirrel Girl, and they have shown like she's in a conference room with all the Avengers, and then they like fades to black, and when it turns it back on, she's sitting on top of like the conference table, and everybody's like unconscious. They never show her actually beating everybody up. It just you have to use your imagination.
What are her powers?
Right.
She talks to squirrels.
Yeah. And she has a tail.
She does have a tail?
Yeah.
So that means she's a furry.
No.
Not to be confused with Fury on paper.
No. She is not a furry. She is a squirrel girl. And she is awesome. Someone in the chat, if you know what Squirrel Girl's like full power array is, please let us know. Because I do feel like it is. She can control or communicate with squirrels, and she has a squirrel companion. But I don't know if she's like augmented strength or agility. I feel like she has agility for sure. Because you know how tough it is to like catch a squirrel.
Like Bullwinkle. She's in essence Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle's a moose.
But what about Rocky?
There you go.
Rocky's a squirrel.
Rocky. Hey,
So
Rocky.
she would be the Bullwinkle to the squirrel.
Hey, Rocky. Want to see me pull a rabbit out of my hat?
I don't think she's that dumb though.
Oh, she's not.
No. You think Bullwinkle's dumb? I'm offended.
Bullwinkle, like all of the heroes or main characters of that era, is a little absent-minded.
Aloof, right? Yeah.
The actual heroes of those stories have always been the sidekicks. Like Inspector Gadget is great, but the dog
And Penny, Penny's doing the real work.
Penny and her
And
dog,
Brain, his little collar,
yeah,
little earphones, their little,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's great. Brings back memories. Not like the live action Inspector Gadget, though. I would have to say, not a big fan.
No, that's okay. I liked what was the other character? Quick Draw McGraw and his sidekick Babalooey. Right? Quick Draw was just a goofball, but Babalooey got everything figured out and done. And I think that's the same with Hong Kong Phooey and
It's all Hanna-Barbera, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. They definitely played to the hero was kind of like absent-minded and doofusy, and the sidekick was the actual brains of the operation.
I wonder if that was kind of a Kato effect. Like after the Green Lantern came out and freaking Bruce Lee was the sidekick.
Green Hornet.
Green Hornet, yeah. Green Hornet, sorry.
Yeah, it could have been a Kato effect.
The Kato effect.
Grouchy Monster said vampire? Question mark. If that's in reference to Squirrel Girl, I don't think she has vampiric abilities.
She does suck. As a character, I'm just kidding. Rick's getting so angry here.
Whoa.
It was like he served it up.
Wow.
He served it up.
So when you come into my studio, you have to walk down some stairs, and there's a glass cabinet right there. And two of my favorite characters in all of animation and comics are in there. Or I have a Namor figure that Rick Hall painted, who I know everybody watching it's like it was Rick Hall. He's a buddy of mine. I have a Squirrel Girl statue, and then I have multiple Tinkerbells. Because Tinkerbell is my overall favorite animated character of all time. Not because she's cute and cosplays of her are cute, because she's a murdering little, pixie. Kill the Wendy bird. What? That she's murderous, and she's just conniving and deceitful. And that's not the character traits that are great, but super funny.
Yeah, fairies and the Fae, man, they're scary things.
Yeah, there's right.
Not just in True Blood, but in the old
Right.
lore and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't mess around with what is it? A Fae circle with the mushrooms that when they grow in a circle.
Yeah, fairy circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't mess with that stuff.
There's a Terry Pratchett book that dealt with them in Discworld, and they wouldn't even call them by name. They just called them the lords and ladies in hushed tones.
Oh, so good.
So you guys watch that Carnival? Now we're on a tangent. This is the best part. If you guys are watching Path of the Brush, it all started with the Path of the Brush paint, and then it's all tangents after that, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Every episode is like that. We're just here to chat nerdy stuff with everybody.
Now we got you. Yeah. What is it? The Carnival Row on was it Prime?
Carnival Row. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
on
great.
Amazon.
Yep.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. We are not sponsored by Amazon, but if Amazon's watching or listening, you know. Yeah, Carnival Row.
This broadcast is not brought you by.
The Painting Empty Brush. Vampire. The Painting Empty Brush. Oh, we are painting Marvel. If you're just joining us, Grouchy Monster, I'm sorry. We are painting Marvel Zombies Zombicide from CMON. So I'm currently painting the zombie version of the Hulk. Just putting some bases on them, and I'm going to let them set off to the side now, and I'm going to go work on probably Deadpool and because it's super easy reds and reds and blacks.
And he's a zombie, so he can be a little messy, right?
Right.
He ripped his suit. That's what the
Yeah, and it just shows like gory flesh areas and then half of his face, but he already looked messed up anyways underneath his suit. So
does. It's got a bit of a Spawn effect.
yeah,
Totally different. We know,
right.
not Marvel, but his face is jacked up.
Yeah.
We can talk about Image too.
Why?
Ooh.
Why would we want to talk about Image?
Ooh.
The Max.
What about the Max?
Max was cool.
Max was really great. I loved Sam Keith. Sam Keith was incredible.
His
Nobody
artwork
was-
is amazing,
yeah,
for sure.
Nobody did stuff like Sam Keith.
Disappointing that at the 90s that they overprinted everything though, so all my 90s comics are not worth anything. But they were still great. You know, I think that's what led me here today. To the
Oh,
nerdery.
absolutely. I think comics in general had a big influence on a lot of people's fandoms in regards to gaming.
We'll bring it back before Jim Lee jumped ship and he was doing X-Men. I think those are the X-Men, the Claremont ones, but the Jim Lee ones I think I read more of
Okay,
at that time in his art style, right?
sure. He was super popular at the time. He's still super popular now. Don't
I
get
was
me
gonna
wrong.
say, he's not really stopped.
Right.
All right. Well, if not Image, what about Dark Horse?
Alien vs Predator, Nexus, like these are all terrible, right? No, there's some good ones though.
No,
I mean,
Dark Horse did some really good stuff. They had a fun run on Conan. They had a fun run on Star Wars. Like you got some really good expanded universe stuff on Star Wars through them, which they said wasn't canon afterwards. Yeah,
Hellboy, right?
Hellboy, yeah. I think League of Extraordinary Gentlemen also falls under there.
Yeah, that was we really wanted that movie, you know, to work out.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, it's still good, but it's, you know, it didn't get the fanfare. It's a cult classic now, but it
Right.
didn't get the fanfare. I feel like that's even true with some of the old school, you know, 1977 Amazing Spider-Man, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Was that popular back in the day?
What?
That 1977
No.
Spider-Man?
In Japan, oh my.
Yeah, maybe in Japan, but in general, that was like electric company stuff, you know, which is unfortunate.
I do remember renting it as a kid, though. You know,
Yeah.
it was I was an '80s kid, but it definitely was still there, and I rented it way too many times.
Just so everybody knows, I'm using Carmine Dragon speed paint for the red on Deadpool. I feel like with Deadpool's character, I can just do the entire costume part of him in red and then come back with the black because he's really just red and black and then highlights. So I'm just going to do a full base of red on him and then come back and do highlights with or do the blacks and then the gory areas of flesh, kind of like a greenish ochre nastiness, and then go because I put too much red in my container, I'll hit the reds on Iron Man, the reds on Captain America, the reds on Miss Marvel, and that's it for reds. But no, what were we saying, Mark? Something prolific, wasn't it? Nah, never mind.
That's what I'm known for on this channel, the prolific talk.
I just read what prolific meant today, so that's why I used it.
10 points to you. 10 points to you. Do a little game. 10 points for the big words in a sentence.
So funny. I'm hoping that the new Deadpool movie, when it does come out with Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine, is as good as we all hoped it would be, you know?
It's got to be.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be the first Disney Deadpool, right?
Interesting.
I think it is. And if they're going to make it canon to our current MCU universe, I'm going to be curious to see how they are able to tie that together.
Will they give it an R rating?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Disney's given even the new Blade movie an R rating.
New Blade movie's coming out?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Still the Snipes? Still the
Nope.
Snipe Man? New
Nope.
guy. It makes sense.
I don't know the actor's name, but he was in Battle Angel. What was that?
Battle Angel Alita.
Yes, he was in that movie. He was the guy who was on Earth proper, but was like the head of the crime syndicate, bad guy. And he was also in Luke Cage, I think, on Netflix.
Was he actually Luke Cage?
No, he was the crime guy there too, who owned the club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, yeah.
I can never remember his name.
Is he gonna talk about people ice skating uphill?
Probably. That sounds appropriate for something for Blade to say. So I had a Deadpool action figure that was almost like 2 foot tall, right? Multiple poses, you know, probably had 60 plus points of articulation. But on the bottom of his feet, it said pow and bang. And on this action figure, I'm considering, because you can see the bottom of one of his feet, I might use a yellow, because that was in yellow and it said pow. I might put it on the back of his boot on this one. That would be funny.
If you can do it, that's small. Be amazing.
I'll put on my
It'll be a single horse hairbrush.
yes, and I'll use my spectacles of magnification.
I apologize if you see me with my hands in front of my face. I'm trimming out some sprues here, and I'm blind as a bat apparently, and I can't see this.
All right, there we go. So for everybody watching, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit that bell and heart. You know, follow us here on Twitch, and hit the bell so that when people go live, because we're not the only program on the channel, and we want you guys to enjoy all the content that's being created here on GenCon TV. And there is quite a bit, and there'll probably be more as it continues on. But I'm going to let him dry for a second, and I'm going to quickly do a share of this into a couple groups on the Facebook. And painting, if you're not a member of Painting Happy Little Minis, the group, you should join it.
And this is normally the part of the show in which we talk about Thundar the Barbarian.
Are we there already?
I think we're about to Thundar o'clock.
Is it Thundar o'clock? It's 7:38, right? Don't get me started. But you already did. So yes, I'm a huge fan of Thundar the Barbarian. And what's funny is Zombicide as a game has dipped into so many different IPs and characters. Like they have an Iron Maiden expansion. They have Thundercats. Like all the Thundercats, and to include Mumra, right, are expansion characters, and they've had multiple others.
I did see that.
So if they did Thundar, just give it to me now.
I am all but positive that my wife had a crush on Lion-O, and she just refuses to admit it. Like anytime Thundercats come up, she just gets that look in her eye like she's twirling a braid.
Yeah. And that makes total sense. As one should. Lion-O was super awesome. Like his whole I'm Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats.
As long as it's not Snarf, I'm fine.
Love Snarf.
Snarf is great.
But when I was like, I'm Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats.
Wherever he goes, right?
From what is it? What was the name of their home planet? And they went to Third Earth, Thundara, the planet Thundara. It's like, come on.
Did you ever see the Family Guy version of that? It was like, give me sight beyond sight. And he's got X-ray vision looking through the walls. You can only imagine. Yeah, Thundercats are great. I dressed as Lion-O once. I wish I could find this photo. For Halloween. And people came up to me and were like, who are you? Richard, who's the workout guy? Richard, the workout guy.
Oh, yeah. Geez.
With the wig. What's his name?
What is this? Richard what?
What's his name?
I can't remember. I keep thinking Pryor, but it's not.
No, it's not. Richard, the guy that does the workout videos back in the day. Back in the 80s.
I know you're talking
about. Yeah. They were like, is that who you are? It offended me so bad.
They thought you were working out with the oldies.
Yeah, we're out sweating to the oldies.
Sweating to the oldies. Who was that guy?
That's gonna drive me nuts. I don't know. I can't think of this.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons. Like, you're Richard Simmons, and I was like, I looked like a Will Ferrell dressed as Lion-O. I got this somewhere.
So good.
Put this down. This is so stupid.
That's hilarious. All right.
But yeah.
Okay. Richard Simmons. You were dressed as Lion-O, and they mistook you
because of the hair. And it was actually my hair. I didn't wear a wig. I had a fro, right? And I'd like get it crazy, and I sprayed it red, the red color.
Oh my god,
it was excellent.
It
was like a poor man's cosplay too. I think I got cowboy boots and sprayed them blue, like.
Oh my god!
And the pants, because he's all like his skin tone or his hair, he's a short-haired cat. But I used this. It was leisure suit pants that were like these stretchy leisure suit pants tucked into these blue boots. I made
Were
this.
You married when you did this?
I was married. My first wife. Shortly after that, but no, it was I had the hand. How he had like the extra paw. That whole thing, and then I found that they just rebooted the cartoon around that time, so I was able to get the little sword. But it's funny because I kind of made my face kind of yellow with the little outline, but it almost looked like The Simpsons, like Homer, he's growing kind of like that half beard. Anyways, I digress. More prolific.
You aren't digressing. You're disappointing me in the fact that you haven't posted a photo of yourself in this costume yet for everyone to see. Right?
I'll do it. Hold on here.
Because that sounds hilarious.
As we were talking about Blade, I kind of got excited because the artist Tim Bradstreet.
I do.
Yep. And so he did the Masquerade, right, for a lot of White Wolf stuff and a lot of the early Vampire the Masquerade. And I can't remember the story I heard. It was an interview I was watching with him. It was like in the bowels of YouTube, this old video. But he was watching something, and maybe it's the first one. He's like, "This is my art aesthetic," and they're like, "Actually, yeah, we totally influenced like the movie, the art style." And then he was the guy that did all of the art direction for like the second and third one, I believe. After that,
nice.
So he finally got his day in the sun after they stole it all from him. So,
okay.
That's about time. I wanted to draw like that guy for so many years.
So, have you seen how he does it?
Well, I'm pretty sure he was taking photos of people. And
yeah, he did the photos, and then he did the traditional, like he would do the pencil, you know, kind of like etching, if you're not etching, but the transfer, if you will, with pencil onto a board, and then from there he would ink it. So really, he was a master inker, right? It was all black and white stuff.
Yeah.
No, his hatching techniques were I don't know anybody else who's his equal, really, except maybe Dave Sims. And that guy, what, like a couple thousand episodes of Cerberus, only using like a quill pen.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they did the traditional. They were doing very traditional ink.
That's wild. Who's when you think about artists, you've mentioned a few tonight. Who are some of your favorite comic book artists?
Me?
You and Will.
Will, you go. I'm tapped out. I just said 2.
You,
This
guy.
If you can excuse Dave Sims for going insane after he got divorced, like his artistic talent, like just for black and white work, is second to none. It really just jaw dropping, especially after he got a lot of practice. His earlier books, like Church and State, if you get that graphic novel, but before he goes off the deep end, amazing. It's just a joy to read.
All right.
Mignola, like on the other side of that, like with simplicity, Mignola just nails it.
Okay. You're not wrong. He's great. I'm a big fan of Ken Lashley, Billy Tucci, and Frank Cho, as far as comic book artists go.
Yeah, Frank Cho, like his talent cannot be denied. People might get a little salty about how thirsty his work is, but the man knows what he loves and he draws that.
So his work. So that's what's funny is his work, where a lot of people might think it's thirsty, is him basically giving the middle finger to people that want to censor art, which is so funny.
Well, that sounds like there's more of a story that I don't know, and I'd love.
Well, I used to go to his house for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
What?
Yeah.
Where's he from?
He is just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And when I lived and worked in Baltimore, he and I became friends. I would go to his house for Thanksgiving and Christmas party for about 3 years in a row while I was living there. And yeah, he's all about like, do art. Don't let people like try to cancel you, because art is art, right? But a lot of people were offended by his like Spider-Gwen thing that they did, where and then he started just doing bunches of characters doing that same pose as a like middle finger to cancel culture. But he would be one of the first people, I think, that would support anybody that is kind of up and coming in regards to the art arena. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was like looking at the way he composed his line work, like going from the thin line to a big swooping thick line, and how that like framed a piece. That made me think there's so much we still have to learn. Just the simplest techniques, incredible. Does he do that with a brush, or is he doing that digitally? Do you know?
No, he does it with a ballpoint pen.
My man, awesome.
Yeah, he is like, I've seen him in his studio. One night we were just hanging out like 2 or 3 in the morning in his little studio room in his house, and he was doing some stuff while we were chatting, and just watching him do his work is like, and the same thing with Ken Lashley. Whenever you're around any of these high level artists in that field, it's like they're dot matrix printers themselves. It's like and masterwork, right? But I've seen Ken Lashley do a Sharpie on a Stormtrooper helmet, where he just no pen or no pencils or anything. It's just straight Sharpie, huge mural on a stormtrooper helmet. Beautiful. And then I've seen Frank Cho just take a ballpoint pen and do one of his like fantasy girls or Harley Quinn with just a ballpoint pen. And it's like, what?
Wow. Awesome.
And I've asked these individuals if they wanted to come on and paint with me. And they were like, no. I don't know how to paint. I would look foolish. And I don't want people to think I can only draw. So it's all fun. You know, and one of the things that Frank and I have in common is we're huge Frank Frazetta fans.
How can you not?
Right.
I mean, it's just, yeah, hats off to the master.
Right.
No, he is amazing. All right, let's segue into looking stupid. You guys ready? I found it.
Oh.
I'll take off the SEMA banner here so they don't. This is not sponsored by SEMA.
All right.
Here we go. Drum roll.
Thundercats. Ho! Oh my God.
Amazing.
It actually looks great.
Yeah, not bad.
The fact that people thought you were Richard Simmons?
Idiots.
No, they weren't idiots.
Look at those boots.
I can see
Painted cowboy boots, leisure suit pants. You can see the outline of my cell phone. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it's a cell phone you're seeing. It was a Speedo, and then it was like some weird blue woman's belt. Now I think I spray painted the belt. I bought the belt buckle, bought the sword, made the little mitt, little hand thing, and then it was like an Under Armour shirt that's my bare chest you see there. I think I shaved for that. And, and then Under Armour shirt, and then that's my real hair. It looks like Ronald McDonald wig. But do you see what I did with the mouth there? It definitely looks like a weird Simpsons thing, right?
No, you did the whole. Well, yeah, you kind of look like a unshaven Homer Simpson there,
Yeah.
or a 5 o'clock shadow Homer Simpson.
Well, I oughta. Yeah.
But that's how Lionel looked.
That's how it did.
That secondary tone of color to give that separation.
Moral to the story: keep this photo away from your wife, Will.
Mm.
Oh, crap.
Sorry, shared.
All right, so to a newer artist, he's not a newer artist, but a newer comic that it was an Image one, but I'm going to butcher his last name, Steve Scroce. Scroce. He was storyboard artist for the Matrix trilogy.
Cool.
He did Doc Frankenstein. Writer, artist of Wolverine, artist of Amazing Spider-Man, and Alan Moore's Youngblood, I guess. He did Maestro not too long ago. Anyways, it was kind of cool. Picked it up, just like, kind of got me back into comics a little bit that way.
When you say Maestro, are you talking about the Hulk?
No, totally different.
Because Future Hulk
is
Maestro
with his crazy hair. Yeah, that's fun. And then another like Saga, which should be something I normally wouldn't get into, but it was like all the hype, right?
Fiona Apples.
Yeah, Staples.
Staples. Sorry, why did I say Apples?
That's the artist. That's
yeah, but I'm thinking apple pie.
But like, yeah, her covers and like her, but definitely cool. A little bit different thing that I'd get into. I'd have to say, did it jump the shark when it got into, when they came back? Did it jump the shark? People in the chat maybe let us know.
I don't think it did.
Did you like it? Did you read? Did you go past when they came back? And a lot of spoilers in there. I don't want to say anything. But
as far as,
guess we got to talk.
As far as
like, was it 54? When did it stop before it moved? Was it issue 54?
Wait, which comic are we talking about again?
Saga.
I only read like the first 3.
Oh, okay. So they took a short hiatus, and then they came back, and then they, finished what was, I think, up to 54, and then the storyline changed dramatically, right?
Okay.
Anyways, some people said it jumped the shark, perhaps.
Well, that's okay.
It is okay.
Yeah.
They had a good run, and it was more popular than ever when they came back. It was good. I bought my share.
Yeah, Fiona Staples won a lot of awards.
Oh yeah,
in the indie industry because of her work. Multiple Harvey Awards. I think she even won a Ringo Award. can't remember what the one that not New York, but San Diego does. You know, there's always every major convention has an award thing, right? And she was winning a lot in the beginnings of that whole saga.
The saga.
And it did switch, right? The early one was her as a baby and what's going on with her parents, and then now it's Hazel's as she's like becoming a preteen and like, you know, coming up. Yeah. So, but getting into an audience as well. Maybe the audience is no longer me.
You were never the audience. Actually.
I was never the audience. I flipped my hat up. I was looking cool for a minute there. I thought,
dang. No, yeah, I think she's a good artist. I think that
worth mentioning, right?
100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I think artists, I think like, well, no, I think I more think writers in the comic book arena for females, because there's so many good female writers. There's great female artists, don't get me wrong, but I think there are better writers that are females in comic books. Marguerite Bennett, come on, so good. She wrote a lot of Batgirl, but she also did. I think she did Batgirl. I'm pretty sure she did Batgirl, but she also did Animosity, which is one of my favorite Aftershock comic books.
I don't know if I've read that one.
It's a story where all the animals in the world become sentient at the same time.
You do got an animal thing. You do like the animals.
I do. I think animals are great.
They are cool.
But I also like, as an apocalyptic scenario, if all the animals became sentient, that would be scary. You know, when I say animals, I'm talking insects, everything. And of course, they all turn on the human race.
Rats. Are we back to the rats? Somehow we're back to rats.
I don't want to talk about rats today. But have you ever seen the TV series The Newsroom?
I have not.
It was a streaming series. The main character was Jim Carrey's co-star from Dumb and Dumber.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah. Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels is amazing.
Yeah, so he's a news anchor.
From Michigan as well.
Yeah,
he's up to UP, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he's from like Grand Rapids area.
I thought he's from Escanaba or something like that.
No, I don't think it.
And Olivia Munn was in it? Oh,
in Newsroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a scene in the very first episode that once you watch it, you're basically hooked. It's called, I always call it getting newsroomed, right? And Animosity has a newsroomed moment too, where in the, I think, ooh, Jesus.
Sorry about that.
I can hear all that wiping. I'll just let everybody hear all that.
It's like eating pretzels. Terrible.
So in Animosity, their newsroom moment is they show these animals and people doing like falling asleep at night, and there's this frame where a cat's coming up on the chest of this guy, right? And then you turn the page, and then the flicker of intelligence hits all the animals, and certain things start to happen. And then turn the page, and the cat's right in the face, and like has his paw on the guy's face, and tells him, "If you hit her again, I will claw your eyes out." And, you know, I was like, "I'm in."
All right. Yeah.
Right? And that's my newsroom moment for Animosity.
There was another artist that I love dearly that I'm sad that I did not mention, but I forgot his name, and that's even worse. But it's Goseki Kojima. He was the artist for Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh, such a good story.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
what a saga!
Yeah,
and every single time somebody tries to like steal bits of that, like I always see it now. Like in Mandalorian, that's so many times.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Mandalorian is Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, I was so happy like when that hit me. Like, oh, we're Lone Wolf and Cub. I'm 100% in. And then when they went to the scene, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but the baby is given a choice between a ball and a sword. that's straight up what they did in Malefica. Love it.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. Because I saw it too. I was like, ooh, this is Lone Wolf and Cub. At least the first season was.
Oh,
That was like season 3.
Well, yeah, the choice.
Yeah.
But that first season, the traveling, all that, very much the Lone Wolf and Cub situation.
The running with the pram,
Mhm.
the assassin with the pram. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. The another great artist. So when we're talking about these other great, amazing artists that exist in the world of comics and fantasy art, if I could pick 3 artists in general that I could bring on and interview and talk about art, I would bring on Larry Elmore.
Oh,
If I could. I would bring on Larry Elmore. I would probably want to bring on I definitely want to bring on Frank Joe, but he would never paint a miniature with me. Just because I feel like he'd do really well, but he would also be like, this is my thing.
yeah.
Charles Urbach is another amazing fantasy artist. He's done a lot of stuff with D&D, Magic the Gathering, and other like RPG art stuff. And I mean, if Frank Frazetta was still around, I'd bring him on. Brahm, Dark Sun. If you're familiar with the RPG, D&D Dark Sun, all the artwork was Brahm. I would love to paint with him as well. That would be super cool.
It is pretty amazing the old school, D&D panels, how they would actually make them, and they'd be painting in oils or painting in acrylics later, but they were true artists, right? They would
they're educated in the art in fine art, right. For everybody watching, if you haven't done it yet, I believe it's on Amazon. Check out Eye of the Beholder: The Art of Dungeons and Dragons.
It's amazing.
Brian, Seth, and Seth's wife, who are the producers and creators of that series, did a great job with their interviews. And one of those things about that show that I love is when they're talking to Larry Elmore, and Larry has these art boards that he rests his arm on when he paints, right? And he'll wipe bits of paint off on the art board if he has a little bit too much when he's doing his work. Those art boards are like, what are you banging around over there?
Oh, sorry. Tamia.
Okay. The art boards are so thick with paint for so many years that it's like inches deep. And I'm like, could you imagine owning one of those? Right.
Oh yeah, that was just kind of inspirational. Like that dude's been working so long. Like this is his 3rd time he's filled up that thing with too much paint. That's going on and just fresh and sort of wow.
Yeah,
it's thick like the chewing gum that would just be layered at the handrail of a subway in New York in the movie Health. It's like that thick of goo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The thing that if you were to have one of those resting boards, probably every painting he's ever done has a remnant piece of paint on that board. Even though you don't have the actual painting, you have a piece of that painting by proxy, I guess. And that in itself, for a super nerd like me, is cool.
That was very cool. It's a cool documentary for sure. I'm looking at a big list because my mind isn't what it used to be.
All right.
But Frank Miller is on here as a standout. Not so much he did amazing art there, but like the crossover stuff, and just this, into cinema and things like that. I got to give it up to I said Jim Lee already. That really got me going.
Yeah.
And his, the Wildcats. It was a bit of an X-Men vibe going on, but it was definitely a little more. So that was a fun kind of switch over. McFarlane, I mean, definitely a work of Spider-Man, and then obviously Spawn later. And then his line of toys and everything. Now that there's some people that maybe got into the toys, didn't even know about comics, and then got into comics that way.
Yeah. Todd is really a very interesting, prolific businessman. Besides just being a good artist, the fact that he picked up Fortnite as a character line for his toys, is amazing.
Oh, they're producing those now. Okay.
Yeah. It's wild. I would paint with Todd. I think that would be a fun interview because I have some questions that I know about his experiences that would be super fun to ask, right? And get his response to it. And it would be a question I'd ask about him. I would want to have him, Jim Lee, Eric Larson, Rob Liefeld, and who was it? There was I think there was one more person,
Mark Silvestri,
who all started Image. I want to ask them about their meeting they had at San Diego Comic-Con with Steve Jeppy about getting into distribution in a hotel room, and while they're doing this meeting, what it was like trying to have a semi-professional meeting with Rob Liefeld jumping up and down on the bed.
Let's be go crazy. We're gonna make a comic company.
Yeah.
Let's go crazy.
Yeah,
I love it. That is awesome.
And somehow, my mental image of that entire scene, I still can't see Liefield's ankles
or feet. That's one thing I will do is I will give Liefeld props in that he was a kid when he started drawing. It was 15, 16 when he got his first professional gig.
Was that the story when he was hanging out with? Was it Frank Miller that he was hanging out with, and the guy he just kept coming around all the time?
I don't know that part. I just know that he was real young, and he was an amazing artist for his age and everything, and he just hadn't gotten there yet. And I love the fact that he still today can laugh at that and the other anatomically interesting artworks he did, like the Captain America's chest is I don't know, the size of a barrel, and that side pose, right? He can laugh at it, and I think that's great.
Yeah, you might as well, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen his early work before they picked him up for the comics.
Yeah.
It was excellent. He had all those details.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was the stress of the timelines that he had to deal with, where he let the style come through or whatever.
That's possible. Could have been a choice in ensuring that he could meet his deadline.
He was humping on books.
Yeah.
Just pumping them.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
You can't judge a comic by the artist drawing of the foot. That's you can though. I find that you look at a foot and you're like, that's where it falls apart sometimes, right? What's happened here? Yeah.
If that's the thing that's going to draw you down, I totally got lost in the immersion of this story because I just couldn't get past the feet.
I'm not the only one. It's a joke. There's a joke within a joke there.
I think that in itself is just kind of funny, right? Because he is a talent, and he's an amazing talent.
It did bug me. I was trying to learn how to draw anatomically, and then I see this guy is crazy success, and he's just drawing these are fly swatters, not feet. What are those? Right. But the fact that he's able to own it afterwards gives me new respect for him. He recently did a drawing of Falcon as Captain America in that exact same style that he did. It's so ridiculous. And if you superimpose that Captain America picture over the Arnold Schwarzenegger picture where he's doing that pose, he just copied that.
Yeah, of course.
That's all he did. Yeah.
That was one of Arnold's iconic signature poses.
Yeah.
That side barrel chest blowout where he would do this vacuum abdominal tuck in, which made it look even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's funny. But I love it. It's so good.
As an ex-powerlifter, do you have like extra insight into that whole?
Well, when I was a powerlifter and doing all that strongman stuff years ago, by the way, for everybody watching, that was another lifetime ago. Yeah, I had the Arnold Schwarzenegger's encyclopedia to bodybuilding and all that stuff, and I would read all the muscle fitnesses and flex magazines and for the articles, right? And you'd learn all these techniques from Arnold, and it's like, a lot of his was like the mental stuff that you would do. So if you were like, you could actually take a lot of the lessons from that book and put it towards like miniature painting competitions. I think you could. Like you could be talking to another painter. If you were a jerk, I would never do this in the painting arena, because I think in this arena you want to encourage everybody to be the best that they can be and everything. Whereas in a competition scenario like bodybuilding, it's all about you, your personal physique, not your work of art, but your personal physique. And so he would do stuff like go and talk to like his opponents, especially Lou Ferrigno, and be like, "Oh, hey Lou, you look great today, but did you have too much water today?" Or whenever they're getting their heads, it's like, "Oh, you look great," but he would hit him with something like sideways to just worm into their brain, and then
he was a jerk. He was a jerk when he was in competition, 100%.
Yeah, and he would do things like he would act like he's done flexing and move out of the way for a second, and then everybody else would be like, "Oh, that's it, we're done. Arnold's done, so we're all done." And they'd start walking off stage, and he'd walk right back out and like boom, and do a couple last little things, and then put him up with marks because everybody else quit too early. He would do all these things, which was I used to do them too. I'd go to competitions, when I used to look like this guy, the Hulk here, and I'd walk in and ask guys, "Hey, what are you going to max out at today? What are you thinking you're going to hit on your squat or your deadlift or your bench?" Right? And they'd tell me, and I'd be like, in all honesty, every lift that they would mention was a great lift. Don't get me wrong. And I'd be like, "Dang, that's a good lift. Good luck. I hope, that's, it'd be like someone coming and saying, "Yeah, I think it was squat like 450, 485. I'm like, "Yeah, that's a great lift." And then I would open up to 600. Right? And they'd be like, "Oh."
Just burn them up that way.
Yeah. But that's competition.
You wanted to be the best around,
did.
and nothing's ever going to keep you down.
Yeah. Best.
It's a great song. Why did you have to?
It is a good song. That's going to worm its way into mini.
Yeah,
mini
now
beers.
everybody now listening is going to be like, "Best around. Nothing's going to ever get me down."
It kind of reminds me of one of my dad goals. I'm trying to put together a playlist that gets my kids to sing in the car every single time, so that just the whole family chimes in. I bet you that one would work.
That would be a good one.
That is, yeah, it's a great song because it's the best. Now it's in my head too. We need something else.
Cult of Personality by Living Colour is the one that so far the kids are really getting into.
Well, I think that's funny that you bring up music when you think about what we're doing with painting miniatures. A lot of people, listen to different music to get them in, really hyped about the miniature painting. And I kind of feel like if it wasn't like trademark and we would get in trouble if we were playing the music while we painted on here today, I'd want to be listening to the Avengers theme song, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can do like 15 seconds before we get
We're
fined.
not going to do it at all. I don't want to risk it.
Thank you, Peter. No, just kidding. We'd probably pay for that.
But I think that would be if we weren't live and we were just hanging out. I'd put on the Marvel soundtrack, right? And it would really get me hyped painting these miniatures. Just like, I hate to bring up TikTok. No, I don't. I'm wearing a freaking hat that says TikTok. But there's this one where the girl says, when I get married, I'm not gonna be like a normal girl, blah blah blah. And she says, you won't hear that, normal wedding march song. You'll hear this, and it starts off with that, dun, 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 and then it goes into the Marvel theme song, and it's like, oh, that's so good. And who's this woman, and why are we not getting married?
Oh, that's funny. I have not seen it. I haven't tic-tacked in a while. Orange are my favorite, though.
What's that?
I say I haven't tic-tacked in a while, but orange are always my favorite.
Okay.
After my wife and I done our vows,
Yeah.
we had the song from A New Hope play at the one from the end when they got their medals.
Nice.
Who roared? That's the...
It's like-
And then he just like looks and he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what he said is like, "Where's mine?" Because I think he's the only one who didn't get a medal, right? It's like, geez, that's rough. Poor Chewie.
What you got against Wookiees?
Right? Yeah. Because it was the council that came at him with like no medal for Wookiee. But then you learn through watching all the movies that the Wookiees were huge allies, right? On Kashyyyk and all that stuff. I mean, Yoda goes to Kashyyyk and hangs out with the Wookiees during the Clone Wars. And it's like,
Let's be honest, wouldn't you?
yeah, for sure.
Well, it's just like that Limp Bizkit song. It's all about the Wookiee, right? Wasn't that,
Yeah.
wasn't that how that went?
It is.
That is precisely the song, Mark.
Yep.
I think I remember.
100%. And I'm surprised that Weird Al hasn't done that yet as a parody.
Is he still doing stuff, Weird Al? I know he's still
Yeah.
touring a little bit.
He is. He's not doing albums anymore. He's just doing one-offs.
Oh, okay.
And this actually takes me back to the playlist thing I was doing for my kids. Another one was every single one of Weird Al's polkas in a row,
Oh, yeah.
which actually kind of sucks because if you actually listen to that on a road trip, you get every single song in history stuck in your head all at once.
What? That's amazing. So, besides wanting those like the Marvel theme songs and soundtrack while painting these particular miniatures, I do have some guilty pleasure music I like to listen to when I paint.
ABBA.
No, I do like ABBA though, but no. I like listening to the Pitch Perfect soundtrack. I know that may sound weird, but I don't know, the music of that soundtrack just brings me joy.
That's a good movie. I got to say, my wife made me watch it, and I was like, I'm not watching this. And then I was like, I was hooked, and I'm now a fan of all the franchise.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
You have not watched Pitch Perfect? You only really need to watch this one. The other two are fine, but the first one is the best.
Okay.
It has the best soundtrack. Yeah, it's just good.
I recently found out that, probably on a very different note, the main song from Pacific Rim
Yeah.
that was done by Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine fame.
Nice. Okay.
I like me some Tom Morello. I believe he has a Harvard degree.
Isn't he Serbian? No. That's System of a Down.
Oh, yeah.
They're all Serbians. And the drummer owns Torpedo Comics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we talked about. Yeah,
Yeah.
a few shows ago.
So I found a better green that actually gives him his emerald skin that the Hulk is known for. So going back over the Hulk with this one, and it is orc skin, which seems appropriate. And this he's actually starting to now really look like the Hulk instead of a aquatic version with more aquatic blue that was used at first.
Is it What If Namor Hulk?
Don't get me excited. What if Hulk was an Atlantean?
Oh man.
Well, they do have a character that is an Atlantean that has a very Hulk look. He was introduced in the Atlantis Attacks crossover series back in probably the early 90s. I think it was late 80s, early 90s. There was this whole story called Atlantis Attacks, and it was where they took the annuals of that year across all the comics of Marvel, and they made a fully overarching story. And the character was part of this team of 3 Atlanteans, and his name was Sharkskin. And he kind of looked at the whole Hulkish body and super strong. And the reason he was Sharkskin is that, I don't know if you know this, sharks have really abrasive skin. And so he could, like, when he hit you, it was like getting hit with like 80 grit sandpaper.
The old shark skin.
Yeah. So
It did take me back and reminded me of another one of my my beloved B-roll Marvel characters,
okay.
Guido, aka Strong Guy.
Strong guy, yeah. Well, I love how he got his powers. Right? How he had his mutant moment where he basically tried to save another student in school and jumped in front of him and got hit by a bus. And because of his powers are where he can he takes kinetic energy and converts it into super strength. And that's why he's all, goofy looking, looking like a Quasimodo like character, is because when he got hit by that bus, and it was the first thing that triggered his powers, it just like jacked his whole like metabolism up and made him look weird. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, from that point forward, he knew.
What's his name?
Guido,
aka Strong Guy.
Yeah, like from that point forward, he knew he had to like get rid of that force, or he would blow up again.
Yep. He's a great character.
He was genre savvy enough to realize that every team needed a strong guy, and that's why when he came up with that as his name.
Yeah, and he's one of those characters. How they wrote him as a sweetheart. Really kind, gentle, like Colossus.
Yeah,
really is. He's an artist. He sees beauty in the world and all this stuff. But he's got to be the strength of the team. Yeah, which is cool.
Didn't he start off as Dazzler's bodyguard?
I don't recall. I mean, that'd be cool. Because it'd be interesting if they do bring Dazzler into the MCU. There's a lot of speculation that Taylor Swift might be playing Dazzler. Yeah. Which would be cool.
I have to begrudgingly admit that would be perfect casting.
I agree. Even if she doesn't have like a lot of screen time or lines, just to have her like shown as Dazzler. Are you looking up Guido? Did you look up Guido?
I did, and I see him now.
Okay.
It does ring a bell. I don't think I knew that was his name though.
Yeah, he's super cool. Strong man.
Was he X-Force or X-Factor?
X-Factor, I think.
X-Factor. Yeah. He may have done some X-Force work too. I mean, they cross over so much as the titles went on and on. I almost would have thought he would have been like a New Mutant in the later iterations of that.
What did you think of the New Mutant movie?
I think that the renditions of some of the characters were great. I did not like the story. There
Is
were,
it too much a too horror movie esque?
No,
No.
I didn't like how they were like all in an asylum like situation. It just didn't like vibe for me. But Wolfsbane was a great Wolfsbane.
Yeah.
Magic, Ilyana Rasputin was amazing when she's like,
Yeah.
you can't fight it, it's magic. And she's dragging the sword and she turns around at the armor on her arm and she goes, so am I, and walks out. I'm like, oh, because that whole
So you
scene,
did like it. Now he really likes it.
no, I mean, there are aspects of that movie that are amazing. Sunspot's situation was great. But when she's out there fighting the Nightmare Bear, right, with Lockheed and everything, and she's jumping around with that magic sword and cutting the bear and talking smack, and then you have, I think it was Sunspot and Cannonball are up in the window looking at me, and Sunspot's like, I'm going to marry that girl. I was like, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Guido was Lila Cheney's bodyguard and briefly was Dassler's bodyguard.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah. I think with this game and the miniatures, I think there was an X-Men or an X-Men expansion pack in the Kickstarter. And Colossus is one of my favorite X-Men. But I think my first miniature, if they have one, because again, I don't remember all the miniatures that came in the set, if they have a Nightcrawler, because Nightcrawler is one of my favorite X-Men.
You got him tattooed on your body, huh?
I do have Nightcrawler tattooed on my body. I mean, I have Angel, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Deadpool.
Take your shirt off. Let's see this thing.
I ain't doing that. God, it ain't that kind of show.
How far does the Marvel Universe expand onto Rick's body? Tune in next season. Season 3.
Well, that comment alone is why we won't be back. No, but
I'm
yeah.
looking at Gen Con TV right now. They officially pulled the plug. Like we're no, I'm just kidding.
Oh no.
Wait a minute.
But yeah, so I have some X-Men on my arm. I also have Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, the Thing, and the Hulk.
Where's the Thing located on your body?
Right here on my shoulder.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah. And
Wait, you're supposed to tell the viewers. They don't. Let's keep them guessing.
all right. So I have the Thing that's like right here, and the Hulk on my back, and they both are holding one of their arms in their hand on each side. They're holding a manhole cover
Okay.
that says East Jordan Ironworks. Have you guys ever seen manhole covers around here in Michigan that say East Jordan Ironworks on it? They almost all do,
Oh yeah.
because
That's what they're made.
that's where they're made up in East Jordan, and that's where my mom is buried.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah.
So I didn't get an I Heart Mom, but it's my little homage to my mom.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
So I have to ask, does that mean that shoulder is Yancey Street?
Oh, Yancey Street. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it only makes sense. All right. So that green is a much better emerald monster for the Hulk here. So I think it's going to look great. And then I'll go back and I'll just highlights. And then he's got all these like pustules, and that'll be fun to go through and highlight and put details of like purple and green, maybe some other lighter greens and purples, and then some red inside these wounds on this arm here and his leg there, and his leg here, and this big gaping one on his leg there as well.
That looks wonderful.
Yeah.
At 8:30, we should do some shout outs.
We should do some shout outs. Good call, by the way. So yeah, shout out to the Army Painter, or TAP as we like to call them. They are the exclusive sponsor of our paint for the show here at Path of the Brush. Also to Matt by Mars, who made this awesome paint mat right here. And we've also got Game Envy, the makers of the Failing Synth brushes, which we use. The Hobby Handle, which I'm not using because I feel like The Hulk is a little too big for that one, but you can fit him right on there. With the hobby handle, and they also make our water cup, a collapsible water cup, which is pretty cool. Again, big shout out to Gen Con TV, Gen Con in general, the convention. There's so many things that we can shout out. Will and Mark and Thunderford Studios, where we're here doing the show. If it wasn't for all the people that are behind the scenes making this happen, it would either not happen or be real difficult. So we appreciate everybody out there. And also all the other content creators here on Gen Con TV. I know a lot of folks tune in and watch their favorites, and if you're tuning in to watch Path of the Brush, this is the show you like, make sure you also stay tuned because right after us is Actoroki, which is Actoroki is unlike any other TTRPG stream out there. We play D&D and we turn it into a movie. You won't want to miss this. So that's right after at 9 p.m. And then Thursdays, you've got Blood on the Cock Tower, Roll with Grandma Alternus, and then the Table Takes Stuff and Sarah's Table on Fridays. And then there's amazing things on Mondays. It looks like there's no content on Tuesdays, and that makes my heart sad. They need to have some Tuesday content. So maybe we have to pitch some stuff to Peter. Be like, what do you think of this? What do you think of a recurring series around the Stormcrest Chronicles? That'd be kind of fun. Look, yeah, that's how Rick broke everything.
So Rick rolls.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see what you did there.
Let's see. Now, a lot of these heroes, like Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and the Wasp, have gold in their armor or costume. And I don't want to necessarily use like Gaze Yellow or Daemonic Yellow or Moon Dust. They're all great names. I have to use a very specific gold, a metallic gold, a hoplite gold. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you that know, about 8 weeks ago, I opened a brick and mortar game store, and we were called Hoplite Games. So,
in case you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. So it's only appropriate that I use Hoplite Gold for some of these characters here. And so the version of the Wasp's costume is the black and gold, which is I think the best costume they've ever done for her. Let's see if I can find a picture of it in here, because there's so much good artwork.
Or if you know the song Black and Yellow, Black and Yellow.
Right. God dang it.
You wanted that other song out of your head, so I don't know if that's going to help you.
Right.
Purchase.
Okay, so it's a small picture. I'm going to put in the overhead. There you go. So you see, she has a zombie, but it's got the black under portion here. So I think I'm going to do gray with black like highlights, and then or black with gray highlights, and then gold is like all the detail work in her costume. It's a great costume, and yeah. So,
you have a cheat sheet over there?
Yeah, it's the rule book.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, this is just kidding. All right, I finally got my thing assembled. I've been cheating and working on Warhammer all day, but here's this little guy.
What are you working on?
It's a Alarith the Stone Mage from the Lumineth Realm Lords. This little guy here. And I almost left some parts on the table. Almost dinked him around. He's a cool little guy. He's kind of just like, you know. So just glued together. I didn't paint today, but.
No, he looks great.
You know, a lot of little bits.
And that's for Warhammer?
Yeah, the Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
So switching up armies.
All right. Is it because you got stomped the last time you played?
I definitely got stomped 16 times. I'm not afraid to say it, but I learned a lot of good lessons.
Okay.
So yeah, it sometimes comes down to the meta a little bit, right?
Yeah, it does.
But after you spend a good amount of money on an army, you just want to see it through, you know. Keep digging yourself a hole. Next thing you know, you're in China. So,
Wow. But you're actually not.
they got fried with the magma.
That's funny. Again, just a big reminder for everybody watching, those of you that are still here, make sure you hit that heart and the bell so that you're following Gen Con TV and get all the notifications when they go live with all the different programming on here. Also, if you are on Amazon Prime and a Prime member, you get a free subscription to a Twitch channel. If you have not used it and you hit the subscribe button, it'll give you the option to use your Amazon Prime, and it's a free subscription, so it doesn't cost you anything more than your Prime membership. And we would love it if you would use it here and subscribe to Gen Con TV, because every little bit that comes to the channel helps in making more amazing content. Your support definitely makes it possible to continue all the crazy and awesome things that we do here on Gen Con TV. So please hit that star, or hit that heart, hit that bell, and hit that subscribe button if you can. We appreciate it. All right. Let's see, what's another color I can be playing with here? I feel like there's, with Captain America, the majority of his color scheme is blue, so I should probably grab a nice blue. And I feel like magic blue is going to be the winner chicken dinner, because I could use Griffin blue, but I feel like magic blue is more appropriate. There's also royal robes, which is a little darker. I almost feel like I should do royal robes, then a little magic, then a little Griffin, and that'll give us the 3-step blue.
The trifecta.
Yeah.
The exact amount of licks it takes to get the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop as well, according to the owl, Mr. Owl. Right?
But with the Hulk, it says one bite. Come here, Steve. Chomp.
Well, I thought that was the Hostess fruit pies, but that's kind of a deep cut.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna, let me put some of this blue on him. Oh, I got it all on my face now. I'm the worst. And we're supposed to take pictures after this. All right. Put some of this on the blue here, on his uniform. The scaled blue armor of Captain America. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad.
And I'm getting pretty good coverage on these Marksman clones.
Nice.
Yeah, put them up. Let's see.
Let's see. I got, instead of just horrible fleshy abominations, they're archers with 3 arms, because they figured, like, you can just shoot more arrows instead of being more accurate.
Well,
yeah.
What scale is that?
It's I think it's 38 millimeter.
woo.
Okay.
Yeah, the event I was at just last weekend I was surrounded by people who do historicals, and they were all like 24 millimeter, just below the heroic scale, and they all kept coming over to my table like, those are humongous.
Nice.
And they were like, each one of these dudes is twice the size of one of the historical models. And it's surprising that's where we all started.
Nice.
Yeah, they come along good. I'm happy with that.
Very nice. It's all about the hobby here.
Heck yeah. Well, that's it. For some people, this is super calming, and that's part of the hobby that I like about painting miniatures. Is it kind of takes you out of your head a little bit, except for when you're doing it live and have to talk and be on point the whole time.
Live without a net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sorry for some of the previous shows that you may have seen.
But yeah, the thing I like about this hobby is that it can be very relaxing for me when I'm not doing it live and I'm just sitting at a desk painting a miniature and listening to music or have a good show on in the background.
Apparently the Pitch Perfect soundtrack.
No, apparently. Absolutely.
Our viewership just went up all of a sudden. Look at that. See? Said the right thing.
Yeah, you did. You said pitch perfect.
We were also talking about you taking off your shirt, so I don't know.
That was earlier.
Yeah.
That was earlier. Nope, we went there. We just lost him again.
Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes there.
All right. So one of the things I want to show is, as you can see, you've got some of the miniatures down here. These are all the zombie miniatures for this game. We've got Captain Marvel, the Hulk as a zombie, Iron Man.
That's a cool sculpt.
Oh yeah, Deadpool, Captain America.
Is that Super Deadpool? What would you call zombie Deadpool?
Just zombie Deadpool.
Really Deadpool.
Yeah, really Deadpool. And then Wasp. So these are the zombie that come into core box. Some of the non-zombie heroes that can show up and try to fight these ones are actually pretty cool too. So I'll show those off real quick.
I'm really impressed by that Wasp sculpt.
Yeah.
That Wasp sculpt looks like 1-to-1 from the graphic novel. I'm really impressed.
What is that box you got there?
This
Was
is
that
the Marvel Zombies.
Was that the cool thing about CMON is the packaging, right?
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
there's
they
a
do
lot
a
of
good
cool things. I love their games, to be honest. But yeah, like the vacuum, packs for the plastic, are like the little miniatures fit so nicely in there.
They do.
The box space, they have an engineer like working on that, right? How to get them all in there. It's pretty great.
So we got Spider-Man. We've got the Black Panther. And these are all the non-zombie heroes. Doctor Strange.
I like the tentacles coming up from that. That's neat.
Yeah. Miss Marvel, who I think it's later this month. The Marvels movie comes out with Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and is it Photon? Is that her name? Thor. They got Thor as a non-zombied version, and he just looks like he's just, this is like older Thor. He's got this wild hair thing going on, and then Scarlet Witch. Yeah, he looks like grumpy old Thor. He's like, I am the king of Asgard.
You can't have your ball back.
That's right.
Keeping it.
Is that a Sandlot?
What?
Sandlot bit?
Yeah.
Grumpy old man. I wasn't trying to reference anything.
I'm trying to see what the street sign says here for the pole that Spider-Man's next to. And I'm betting that you can actually put Yancey Street on there.
I was just going to say Yancey.
Yeah. Which would be super cool. But anyways, yeah.
It's too bad. Aunt May's been trying to keep him off the pole all these years, and look at him.
Yeah.
It's
And there he is.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up here because, again, they have all the artwork of the characters. And I bet you they have the artwork of Spider-Man, and it's going to have that street name on it. And if it is Yancey Street, that would be freaking awesome. Captain Marvel has a skull in her hand. Lots of agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
This is what you do not want to have your DM doing while you're playing a game right now. It's like I don't know. It's right here. Hold on, everybody. It's like,
yeah, hold on. I've got this information. All the information you need.
I swear I prepped it last night.
Right.
Oh, if you would have followed all my hooks, this would not have happened. But
exactly.
What
What was the name of Deadpool's buddy? That's a Hydra agent.
Bob?
Bob. So he's got Bob's head in his hand.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And that's part of the model as well. Yeah, I don't see any full pop art here of Spidey outside of this card right there, but it doesn't show the street sign very well. Well, there we were. Well, it looks like we're at the end of our show. It's 8:44. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We got some paint on some miniatures. Hulk is looking really good. I'm going to try to finish him up because I can't play this game until I get him painted. So got to get to work on that. We appreciate everybody that joins us, jumps in the chat, follows the channel. Again, hit that heart, hit that bell. We are Path of the Brush. I am Rick. You can go ahead and lick your brush, but don't eat the paint. All right. And until next time, next Wednesday, 7 p.m., go to your friendly local game store. Support at your local FLGS because it's where all the games happen. Peace.